So coming down with a casualty through a set of knots, I'm going to descend using friction until my hand on my tail rope of my descender hits that knot right there. That's a good general rule. Okay. Once I'm here, I'm going to tie a figure of 8 just underneath this knot right here on the bottom side of that alpine butterfly. I'm going to tie that as small as I can and as neat as I can. Press your 8, just like so. Now using a rescue sender, I go back to my figure 8. I'm going to pop that on above my rig right here. Okay, I've re-anchored the rope to itself. Okay, using my casualties rig that I stole earlier, I'm going to capture the casualty and myself, and I'm going to load that in underneath the figure 8 that I tied, making sure that I'm not getting tangled in this re-anchor loop that I've done. So I can bring this right in front of my face, make it really clean as I load that rig. And I'm going to pull that as close to my figure 8 knot as I can. Pull it all the way in. Okay, we're really trying to utilize as much of that rope as we've got rigged up here. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set my rescue sender. I'm going to push this up as high as it goes, making sure we're not cross-loading anything in that process. And by setting it up nice and high, I've loaded my rig that's underneath that figure 8 knot. Okay. Now that that rig is set underneath that figure 8 knot, because I set that rescue sender, I'm going to be transferring the weight from that old rig to that new one. And I'm actually going to get rid of this friction. This can interfere, it can actually get stuck in this little re-anchor loop here as I transfer that weight. We are more or less evenly loaded on each rig, so that's why it's good, it's okay to get rid of that friction at that point and just gently lower and transfer that weight onto that new rig to remove the old one. I've got that old rig in my hand, you can see what's happened here. Transferred that weight underneath, we're below the knot now. I've got that old rig in my hand. I'm going to place it right back on underneath my backup line knot. We are going to come down on 2 rigs for this, but you can see I'm not ready to take this ASAP off just yet because my old rig is still very loose right there. So using friction here, I'm fully weighted on this rig. We're going to descend until they're equally loaded, making sure nothing's cross-loading in that process. Nice and clean. We're fairly well equally loaded here. I can take this ASAP off that's above the knot. And I can come down on 2 descenders here. We're sharing the load between both of them within the working load limits of them, so we don't necessarily have to use that friction carabiner we've got on there.